Welcome to the Open Apple Podcast, where we celebrate the Apple II. Whether you're a longtime user, a nostalgic visitor, or a newcomer to the community, join us as we share news and memories of Steve Wozniak's most famous personal computer.
Welcome to the 19th annual episode of the Open ANTIChertz. This is Ken Gagney.
And Carrington Vanston.
And I still don't know what we're recording. Oh, and I'm Mike McGinnis.
And I'm Kevin Savitz.
Excellent. Welcome all. This is a round table, not the retro computing round table.
It's a rectangular table.
That is true. It is rectangular. We are in the Rockhurst Chapel in the basement of Corcoran Hall, and we are recording at KansasFest 2013.
And we are having a very good time.
And I'm sort of frightened here because I have co-hosts from both of my podcasts here, and I handle those shows entirely differently, and so I'm just confused, and I might just melt down in the corner.
How do you handle them differently? How is Carrington different from me?
I'm gentler.
Am I?
Yes, and I cuddle.
You canoodle?
Oh, Lord.
Is that what they do in Canada?
Let's talk KansasFest.
All right.
He says cutting off that line of discussion.
We're not going any further down this road.
It's the 25th annual KansasFest. It's my 16th. It's your
fourth.
Fourth.
I lied to you earlier when I said it's my third. I looked you right in the eye, Ken, and I lied to you on camera.
And Mike, this is your, what, 10th?
Well, no, it's not the 10th. I started in
that's right.
05,
like
skipped away, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 8th, I think. I have that many fingers up as I'm counting.
And Kevin.
It's my first time.
Oh,
I'm the virgin in the chapel.
Oh, my. You are the sacrifice.
Oh.
I'm getting up and leaving.
Oh, my.
Indeed. So how's your first K-Fest been, Kevin?
I'm having a really great time.
Even though you're an Atari guy?
I was had a little trepidation because I'm an Atari guy.
In an Atari shirt,
in
by
an
the way,
Atari
listeners.
shirt. And I thought, I just wasn't sure what to expect. I thought I might not have anything to talk about with these Apple people. But
what do you talk about?
Well, it's all 6502, so it's okay. They're very inclusive. They're just like, okay.
And you survived the initial stoning.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So you're a stronger man for it.
Right. I've been having a great time, and the people here are fabulous, and I've just made all sorts of great friends in the last couple of days, and I'm really been having fun.
So what's up with the fingernails?
I painted my fingernails. They're the colors of the Apple logo.
I see.
So
what color are they normally?
Well, normally I usually get blue or green. But in deference to KansasFest, they're painted. Now, people keep thinking they're M&Ms, but they're not. But they're
just balanced on your two fingers.
Right. Yes. They're blue, green, orange, red, yellow, and green. It was interesting because there's 6 colors in the old school Apple logo, but I only have 5 fingers in each hand. So
you weren't committed enough to get a little surgery done.
I'm not polydactyl, and this is so. Anyway, yeah.
See, an actual Apple fan would have brought 6 fingers on each hand. You Atari guys,
honestly.
I'm just not committed. I'm sorry.
So, Carrington, you drove down again?
I did.
But not on your Vespa.
Not on my Vespa. This time a larger 2-wheel one. I brought down my motorcycle.
Cool. Are you going to let me take it for a spin later?
Yes, because Ken, in his first of many midlife crises, got his motorcycle license last year. That's right, ladies. He's a biker. Woo!
I'm hardcore.
Ken and I are going to form a little tiny nerd gang, ride around with our motorcycles. But yeah, the only downside with bringing the big old Harley down, I guess the 2 downsides are, 1, it is hot in Kansas, and so riding a massive, boilingly hot engine wasn't necessarily the right choice. And also there's a lot less storage on a motorcycle than a scooter. So I had to cut out one bag, so I have no actual Apple II hardware. I'm like an Atari guy. It's crazy. I've got I'm meant to bring down a 2C, so I've got nothing of real hardware.
Are you doing emulation?
Yeah, so an all emulation.
Well, a lot of people have been doing that.
They're not real.
No?
They're dead
in
to
my
me.
head. Yeah. No, I've seen that, especially lately. A lot more people seem to be going the emulation route. So you're not alone.
They're lazy people.
But especially with the release of Sweet 16 3.0 today.
Look at that segue. That's why these guys have the big.
And speaking of segues, we had a driver of one here today.
Oh boy,
he's good. He's good, folks. I'm in the room with podcasting greatness. We did indeed. It was quite a surprise, but this bearded guy who knows a lot about Apple showed up
and wouldn't leave.
Ken.
It is. I've never left.
It was. Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise. There were rumblings that he would show up, and he did. And it has been spectacular.
Yeah,
Jason, so much fun.
Jason Scott spotted the tweet, not tweeted the spot, or speeded the twat, or anything like that.
No.
So, and outed Woz as headed this way from Australia.
Jason Scott has outed Woz. The headlines.
Oh,
And there was some question for a while because we weren't sure if he was just coming here for business or
Just
for
randomly
family, or
going
just-
to be in Kansas.
And we're just for a while it was kind of questionable.
Turns out he does have family in the area, so
Yeah.
there were other reasons for him to be here. And especially with somebody that famous and popular, you never know when his schedule might change at the last minute. And in fact, it turned out that he was here because something else had canceled. His schedule cleared up at the last minute. He's like, oh, I'll go to K-Fest.
And because Mike McGinnis leapt on him and basically said, come, I am Mike McGinnis, I command you, and Woz says, well, okay.
First you outed Woz, now me. What's next, Carrington?
Now, how did this come to pass, Mike?
This actually started because of the podcast I do with you, Ken. It was sort of a random thought that I had, one amongst many. I thought, what a great idea to have Woz on, and I would surprise you. I didn't tell you that I was going to do this. If he said yes, and if no, no big deal.
What if he said yes and I said no?
No, he can't go.
I'd have your head examined. No, I asked him, and on Facebook, Woz is a nice, friendly guy, and if you ask him simple questions that he can sort of keep to, what are you laughing at?
You describe him like he's Eliza.
Maybe.
Simple questions.
No,
Woz did indeed pass the Turing test.
if you ask him simple questions, he will answer in short, simple sentences.
Why do you ask that, Mike?
How does that make you feel?
So I asked him to come on the Open Apple podcast, and I stated it in a way. I said, with all the Apple Ones selling in the news lately, and you just got to meet those other 4 Apple One owners and hang out with them, and KansasFest is coming up next month. Come be on the podcast. And I imagine that he was running through an airport, reading from his phone, and keyed in on the word KansasFest. That's the only explanation I can think of for the exchange of emails that happened following this. He sends a reply back in a few minutes that says, some time on my schedule is just cleared up. I need to know the start dates and hotel information. And I thought, well, our podcast doesn't happen over multiple days, and you generally don't need a hotel to do this, but let me try again. And so I wrote back, again, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, so it's not sinking in what he's asking just yet. I said, no, I just need a couple of hours with you on Skype and a microphone. Again, he writes back, I don't have time to do this myself. I just need the information from you. Give me the start dates, hotel information. And at this point, I'm starting to feel like Winnie the Pooh. Think. Something is happening here. And so I sent this off. I sent this exchange off to a couple of trusted people, and Ken as well. And I said, does this sound to you like it sounds to me that maybe he's thinking KansasFest instead of this podcast? And the replies that I got were sort of mild interest but non-committal. This is back in June. Woz is very busy and his schedule changes all the time. And so that doesn't surprise me at all. But I said, well, that's okay. We'll just go ahead and pursue this. And he put me in contact with his wife, Janet, who handles his schedule. And we just kind of went back and forth, what he would want and dates. And mostly he just wanted a schedule.
Brown M&M's only on his rider.
That's right. Or I trashed the hotel. And so to slightly shorten a long story.
Too late.
Yeah, I understand. He said he would do it, and he would come out here. And at this point, I tried to pass things off to a couple of members of the KansasFest committee. And for whatever reason, Woz and his wife kept talking to me instead of them. And so I just said, hey, guys, they seem to be comfortable talking to me. Are you okay if I just CC you on everything? I said, that's fine. And so we went back and forth. They kept saying, I need a schedule. And KansasFest tends to wait till later on to publish the schedule of events. They don't normally need to make it available to everybody when your session's going to happen 3 Saturdays from now. So I eventually got a draft PDF from somebody. I sent it on to Janet, and I didn't hear anything. And I thought, well, okay, it's off. No big deal. As I'm driving across the golden plains of Kansas along vast empty stretches of I-70, the desolate wasteland between Colorado and Kansas City, Missouri, I get an email from Janet saying, Woz is coming. Here's his schedule. Here's what he wants to see. Today is Thursday?
It was Monday.
Yeah. This was, it happened on Monday afternoon. So I sent it immediately off to the committee. And I guess it caused a bit of a panic because we were working on a schedule that was several revisions old. And so they had to go and rearrange everything back to the events that he wanted to see to make sure that he could see the ones he thought he was going to see. On, what was it, Tuesday? Okay. So,
that's the only part of leaving in.
So we're going to divert again a little bit. On Tuesday, Woz tweets out that he's headed towards Kansas City. Woz uses Foursquare and tweets and uses that to say, I'm going to this location, the flight numbers. He's kind of really scarily open to that. I'm glad there are no stalkers looking for him. And we had asked him not to say anything about this. And he said, no problem. He forgot that because there's not that many people that follow him on Foursquare, but when he does it, it automatically tweets and posts to Facebook. And that's where everybody follows him. Jason Scott saw this, posted on the KansasFest list, idle thought, and sort of threw it out there that Woz was coming to Kansas City. What do you think? And so the rumor mill kind of really took off from there. But I think we did a good job of containing it and not really letting it slip that he was actually going to be here, except for a few people until the very last minute. So we brought him in the back door here at Corcoran Hall into the conference room that we use for sessions, and it was nice watching faces light up and, oh, wow, he really is here. So, and obviously, it certainly wasn't just me. The KansasFest committee guys were very gracious in helping me to do this and telling me how I should talk to him. I was going to curse him out and kick him in the head when I saw him. They said, probably shouldn't do that. But I'm not used to dealing with celebrities and people who have schedules like that, so I just tell me what to say. And they were very good about helping me help him plan to be here. Janet, his wife, is also and manager. She's also very good at planning. But as you'll hear in a different interview on a different podcast with Woz, there were two things that made him come, and it had nothing to do with me, unfortunately. One was that the time had freed up. Well, it's all Carrington. Yeah. The time had freed up in his schedule.
I am both of those things.
Yes. And I happened to ask him within a couple of hours of when that happened, because he said if you'd waited another half a day, something else would have been put in there. And the fact that Randy Wigginton was here. He said, I really wanted to see Randy. And so those two things sort of kicked this whole thing off, and it just slowly came together. And I kept doubting, no, it can't be. There was times when I was even thinking, this has got to be like somebody at the other end of this email is pranking me. Yeah, but it seemed to be their legitimate email addresses. So up until they pulled around the corner in the car, I was never 100% that Woz was going to be here. But he was here. He was here for the keynote speech with Randy. He spent most of the day with us today, and he'll be here for a while tomorrow. And I don't mind saying that I feel pretty good about having had a hand in that.
Congratulations.
Well,
Thank you for making that happen. Woz was at KansasFest in 2003. He was the keynote speaker over at Avila University. It was our penultimate year at that campus before moving to Rutgers. And this is being not only the 10th anniversary of his last appearance, but also the 25th K-Fest. Seems pretty appropriate to come. So, Kevin, what was it like meeting both Randy Wigginton and Steve Wozniak?
Randy was great. Steve I had met once before, but he's so gracious and he's so patient. And when he's sitting there and he's like holding court, and there's like 25 people surrounding him. It's like a hive of activity wherever he goes, and he signs every last thing people ask to sign, and he answers all the questions, and he loves the community, and he's just very gracious, and he's a good guy.
Does anybody think we were just a bunch of fanboys around him?
I'm sure we were, and I'm glad that he tolerated
We were.
But I think it's fanboys in that they're really appreciating something that he's made and he seems to still be really proud of. So it's not like something he made in the past and he's dismissive of. It's like, oh, you're a fan of my first album, who cares? He loves, I think, the idea of the Apple I and the Apple II still, in a way that I think makes him really open to discussing it and interacting with people who still see value in it as well. He was amazingly gracious. Yeah. And I loved all the little details he would throw in. So you'd have somebody giving a talk on something and he'd say, oh, do you want to know why we socketed those? And I was like, why, yes, we do. And so having him here was fantastic. Even without Woz, though, this would be a fantastic KansasFest. I thought the keynote was amazing. I thought Randy was spectacular and has been really fun to interact with as well. Him on his own has been great. Plus his sessions have been fantastic. This year has been an amazing KansasFest completely so far.
Because there was another surprise appearance just today. One day only here at KansasFest.
It was an Apple I.
It was.
What was fun about that was I was speaking to somebody saying, an actual Apple one. Did you miss that one? Well, all the rest of us were involved in bringing that to KansasFest, Mike, and we kept it secret from you.
I was trying to be sly and ask you a question to lead to an answer that I wanted to get, and you missed it entirely and made me do this, and now it's awkward.
Ask me again, awkwardly.
Here, I'll just interrupt. There was a gentleman from Chicago named Christopher who drove down for the day with his own Apple One, which he bought about 17 years ago from a former Apple employee. Mike's shaking his head at Mike, too.
He didn't buy it?
He stole it.
That's right. No. I'm sorry. There was a deal where...
Kevin and I immediately go, he stole it.
This employee had 2 broken Apple Ones, and this employee said to Christopher, if you can fix one and give it back to me, you can have the other one. And Christopher said, sure, and he ended up fixing both of them.
Who's going to say no to that?
Because he was able to turn on the Apple One today, and Sheppy and I and some others actually got some keyboard time with an actual working Apple One.
That was a really cool experience, to be downstairs, hanging out and chatting with Woz and Randy Wigington, and then come upstairs and hang out with an Apple One. I'm like, well, this is an interesting KansasFest full of surprises. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, Woz came up and talked about it. It turned into a little impromptu session about history and some functions. He wouldn't program it. We asked him to do something, and he said, I don't want to embarrass myself.
Yeah, he seemed reluctant to do that. Yeah. He typed on it, but he didn't want to program it. I asked him to code an HDMI driver for the big screen TV that was in the room, and he
just really quickly while we all wait.
Just code it up, but he didn't want to do that.
You think you're so good? I hear rumors. I'm calling you out, Watts. Right. Let's see if you got the chops. It was fantastic. I've never seen an Apple One in person.
No, neither.
What was also, I think, a testament to how cool and relaxed and casual KansasFest is the Apple One's up there with its owner, and I'm standing there, and he realizes he's trying to get it to work off the TV, and it can't work. So he runs out to his car to go get it. Doesn't say anything, just leaves. So I'm standing there with this. I'm like, I guess I'll watch this. I was like, that's great. And then he tries to come back, but you need a card to get back in. And he didn't have a card. So he's at the door knocking on the door. I'm like, do I leave the $600,000 computer and let the owner in and hope it's still here when I come back? Or do I just wave at him and say, there's $600,000 of equipment on this side of the door, and there's you on that side of the door?
Who are you? Go away.
Go away. Me and my computer are having
security.
So time. Yeah, well, it's that kind of atmosphere.
Probably maybe 200,000, 210 at most. Highly modified, not many original parts.
400,000 is the lowest I can go, Mike.
Go 390. How's that?
Sold. Mike McGinnis has himself an Apple One.
Yeah, no, this particular Apple One was scavenged not only for the one that he fixed, but for several other Apple Ones that he helped fix later on. And so it didn't have a lot of original parts. And you know what? I didn't care at all because I have pictures of me programming on a real Apple One, and I think most of us here do, and it's really cool.
Most of us have pictures of you programming on an Apple One.
I don't think that's true.
You should have shared.
Honestly. And then Dan McLaughlin, also known as Ion Farmer, collected from us pictures that we had taken with Randy Wigington and Steve Wozniak. And what?
I said, that's Dan McLaughlin? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I had the same experience talking to Mike Whalen. We had been chatting for a day or two at KansasFest. Then he offhandedly mentions that he's Ultra Magnus on Twitter. I'm like, oh my god, I had an entire discussion with you last week. That's you. But Ion Farmer collected photos that we contributed to him. He brought them to Walmart, had them printed as 8x10 glossies. And then tomorrow, in the brief few hours that Wozniak is still here, we can get him to sign them.
Yep, he got one. He did one for me too.
Yep.
What a nice guy.
Do you guys, are you going to have it signed because you need proof that that's actually Woz in the photo of Woz?
I'm going to sign it for Woz.
Oh, I see.
Of course, my photo with Woz was ruined by my podcast co-host.
I'm pretty good at that, yeah. That wasn't me. I proved to you it's not me. That arm is too long in that photo to have been mine.
Back and to the left.
Get the Zapruder film out again. It's not me. It's not me. There was a second shooter.
Is Woz Apple employee number 1? Is that correct?
Yeah, in our hearts, yes.
0?
He was 1, so Jobs decided to be a jerk and be 0.
Okay. So I'm standing in between Apple employees number 1 and 6, which makes me 3.5 on average.
So is there like an Erdish number for Apple employees? Do you have? Is that anybody? You're all looking at me vague.
No, I know exactly what you mean. And it's 1.
Oh, it's 1.
There, yes.
Okay, nice.
I am an Apple employee.
Okay.
And I get the photo that somebody's taken on my camera, and somebody is giving me bunny ears, and my podcast co-host is in the background looking very amused and guilty.
Okay, here's the thing. I can settle this. I'm the one who took the photo. It was me holding the camera, and it was Randy.
Yes, I found that out later.
Wow, you didn't throw me under the bus. I was expecting you to just put this all
And
on
Randy
me.
did it because Mike told him to. Oh, you didn't think I'd go there, did you?
Ah, got me. No, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
But then Ken got another photo.
Thinking it was Mike, I was kind of annoyed. I went up to Randy and I said, can we get another photo? Somebody photobombed my last one.
I'm hearing this and I'm going, what is he talking about?
And Randy,
he gives me a dirty look. I'm like, what?
I know.
I didn't know.
And when I say this to Randy, he's like, oh, what a jerk. All right, let's do it again.
Oh, my goodness.
The thing is, I think all the early Apple employees, other than Zero, seem to be pranksters.
Backstabbed by Randy Wiggins.
Total
You
pranksters.
fit right in character.
I do fit right in. When you grease me up. So, let's talk sessions. What have you guys enjoyed session-wise?
I liked the pie last night. That was good pie.
That you brought?
Ken brought us pie.
Yeah,
And
We had a
enjoyed
lot
it
of talk
very
about the
thoroughly.
raspberry pie.
The apple pie went first. There was no raspberry pie, unfortunately. I really wanted it.
But there was a Raspberry Pi session.
That's what
Yes,
I
Ivan Drucker gave it.
Ken brought in a number of pies and made us stand there and watch him as he ate them.
No.
That's not what happened.
I just sat in the corner and stuck my thumb in.
By the fourth
Well,
pie, he was just weeping.
No, they were wonderful pies.
Why did I do this to myself?
Now, is this instead of the annual standard Krispy Kreme donut night?
That is tonight,
Because you're a health nut and into vegan stuff and weird.
which is why I got pie with lard in it. Yes.
Thanks for telling me. I'm vegetarian too, dude.
Not anymore.
Man,
It was lard-free, trust me. Unlike most of the KansasFest.
God.
Anyway, so no,
You're going to get stoned.
last night was pie instead of pizza. So pizza pie, just dropped the pizza pie minus the pizza. Tonight is the Ryan Suinaga Krispy Kreme Memorial Night, hosted by Kirk Mitchell, and tomorrow night will be the annual Juice GS Pizza Party, which is taking the place of the banquet.
What?
So sessions. So that's the food we
Now
made.
we're done telling you about food you're not going to eat, podcast listener.
So,
This is an outrage. I'm walking out of this dimension.
what about that's sort of the heart of Kansas. Well, actually, the heart of KansasFest is the hallway discussions and the impromptu stuff. I think it's the discussions
And the
with the
fixins.
community, the discussions and the fixins. Some of you agree. But we gather around fairly formal-ish sessions where people actually get up and present. So you don't have to. If you come to KansasFest, you don't have to present anything.
And there are a metric butt-ton of sessions this year.
Butt-ton.
I mean,
That's a
normally
lot.
it's like 9 to 5. This year it's like 8 to 10 p.m. 8 a.m. to 10 p.m.
And it's fantastic.
That's because attendance is up like 50%.
Without people knowing Woz was here.
Right.
Attendance would have been up a lot more if they knew he was coming.
Last year we had 47 people. This year we have 62.
It's a lot of people.
And that's mostly newcomers. There are like a dozen first-timers.
Which has been great. I love the newcomers. I love meeting people that I've never met before at KansasFest, and it's great to interact with them.
Some people
Yeah,
we've
love
known
it.
online for years, like Kelvin Sherlock. Other people have been here before, but not in about a decade, like Glenn Gunselman.
Mhm.
And then we just have a variety of newcomers like Alan Coles and Kevin Savitz.
And we're still surprised when we tie their face to their names. At least I am.
Right.
Except Kevin.
Right. Or like
knew your
their
I've
face.
seen Kevin because I've seen pictures of him online and things like that. But
In the post office. Milk jugs.
cartons.
Yeah.
well, that's only because I'm in the post office checking to see if my face is up there and like yanking it down.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done being funny.
So we've you started. So we've had sessions like Martin Hayes, Deprotection. We had
Which was fantastic.
We had Charles Mangan showing us how to hack our RPGs to level up.
Also fantastic. I was really looking forward to that one because Hack and Bardsdale, I'm in.
Yeah, we had Ivan Drucker with the Raspberry Pi, and one of several sessions he's doing about Raspberry Pi. So this was the primer. We had Sheppy showing off Sweet 16 3.0.
Yeah, with exciting drag and drop both to and from OS 10.
Best feature ever. Bernie to the rescue had that about 15 years ago.
And it's back. Amazing. Yeah.
I know, I've been dying for this. And we had Charles Mangan showing off the retro connector. We had Matt Hellinger talking about how to teach U.S. kids programming. So that doesn't apply to your kids.
No, only you. All the Canadian kids already know how to program.
In French.
Well, yes. we program in both languages. Country and Western.
Can you imagine what it would have been like to be one of those presenters knowing that the gentleman who invented the computer you're presenting on is in the audience?
And we'll yell, wrong! Lies! It's not how it was, it's not how it is. Woz is just like that. Very disruptive.
He is. Wow. Oh my God. The mouth on that guy.
There was the session that Tony gave on the Disk 2 drive because Woz did a lot of work with Randy on the Disc 2 drive, and I'm standing behind them as Tony's up there giving the session. They're whispering back and forth to each other as he's going through these things. I'm wondering what they were saying.
Wrong again.
We will never know. We will never know.
We'll know. We'll ask.
Awkward silence.
So I particularly liked Martin's and Ivan's presentations, which every year is something I sort of look forward to. KansasFest has become, I'm going to go and see these two incredibly brilliant people do things that will inspire me. And that happens every KansasFest. It's amazing to see them present.
That reminds me that Martin's Deep Protection session began with him debuting a new upcoming 8-bit RPG for the Apple II that he's working on with Brendan Roberts and Seth Sternberger.
That's what Martin's like. He'll toss out at the beginning of his session something that would be an entire session.
It's like the one more thing comes first.
Just for, by the way, here's this
little thing.
Amazing RPG coming with like 3D walkthrough parts. And by the way, we're building that with this incredible new tool that does graphics on a modern computer. And absolute pixel level perfect where you put this dot and say, oh no, that's going to have fringe and all. Oh, I'm just throwing that. Okay, now let me get to my actual session.
Right.
Like, I beg your pardon.
And we're not the only ones who are blown away by that stuff. That one in particular, and I've been watching a lot of these sessions from the back of the room, and I watch Woz as we're giving these. I've seen him say wow and be surprised by a whole lot of the stuff that we're talking about, especially the Martin's. I don't think it was the actual demonstration of the real-time ray tracing that was going to be part of this game, but knowing that that's coming and he thinks it's possible, shocked Woz. Tony having that 2X board that Woz worked on, it's the only one of its kind. Woz has been dying to see that thing. His response when Tony said he had it was, wow.
Yep. Yeah, it's amazing when they were signing things, because like you said, when I say you, I'm pointing at Ken in a radio way, so you can understand. He signed the Super 2, which Sean had brought. And they signed it, and Woz said, well, what is this? He's like, oh, it's Super 2. How do you have that? Like, it's just, and Randy was like, well, how did this even get out of Apple? And so they'll be quite surprised. This is the kind of thing you see at KansasFest, that stuff that will surprise even Randy and Woz.
Oh, you don't see if you didn't come.
Yeah, you missed out this year if you didn't come.
Kevin, did you have anything signed?
No, I didn't have anything signed.
Did you get your photo taken?
No. I have memories.
Did you bring like an Atari thing for them to sign?
No, I didn't bring anything. I talked to Woz, I've talked to people, I'm having fun, but
I didn't get anything signed either.
I don't need to collect it.
Yeah, I'm not get things. No, Mike, on the other hand, now has the only Woz edition Apple III.
That was actually accidental. I didn't want him to sign that. Oh, I mean, no, I didn't. I handed the case top to Randy, and I wanted him to sign it because he made that horribly awkward and hysterically funny comment about the Apple III being the byproduct of a drunken orgy that nobody wants to claim anymore. And I thought it would be funny to have him sign it. And he got a kick out of it and said, I don't think I should be doing this. And then signed it, and everybody laughed. And handed it to Woz, and Woz just signed right there. Because Woz will sign anything that you put in front of him.
Yep.
Anything. And that's great. But in this case, how do you yank it out of his hand and say, no, don't sign that? So.
It was fun to see them interact about it, too, because I was there when they were signing it.
That's right.
And Woz, I think when Randy had said, I don't know if I should be surprised this, or signing this, Woz says, oh, I've never heard anybody say anything really bad about the Apple III. Randy's like, what? Are you kidding me? And just launched into this thing made by committee piece of courage. And so that was very funny.
I think everyone there was taken aback by that.
Yes. But Randy will like say, and Woz is just a really nice guy. I think he never says anything negative. And Randy's like, what? This thing? Are you kidding me? That was great. There's been a lot of moments like that at KansasFest, and it's only, is it Thursday?
It is.
Wow, it's Thursday. Okay,
2 more days.
Yeah.
Friday afternoon and Saturday are going to be a huge letdown with that Woz. No, I'm kidding.
No, there's great stuff coming the next couple of days. I mean, that's the fun of KansasFest, like we were saying, the community, the hangouts, the sessions, and the fact that it's immersive. Like there's so many retro gatherings you can go to that are an afternoon or maybe a weekend. But what I think the main thing that differentiates KansasFest is you immerse yourself into it, and you literally live at the event all together for 4 days.
There's no escape.
No, and there's nothing like it. There's no other retro event where you're dorming together.
It's really like a reality show.
Yeah.
Unless you're Woz, and then you don't stay indoors.
No.
But the fact that Woz stayed at all, because 10 years ago he came and went, and our other keynote speakers, John Romero, was here for less than 12 hours. Bob Bishop stayed a day or two. Mark Simonson flew out as quickly as he could. Lane Roth, when he came as our keynote speaker, left right away. Jason Scott left right away. So Woz and Randy together have been here much longer than anybody.
And Jason Scott's here now and is staying for a while.
And he was here 2 years ago as well.
Yeah, everybody's staying.
So people they come back, whether or not they're speakers.
This is a heck of a KansasFest.
I think that's ultimately to the benefit not only of KansasFest, but of its attendees as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it allows us to maybe parlay that into even more better speakers in the future.
So what do you guys think? KansasFest going to have another one? This won't be the last?
Given the phenomenal growth, how could they possibly say, let's stop here? I mean, unless they want to end on a high note, but it's not like this is dwindling to the point where it's pathetic and we should put it out of its misery.
On the other hand, how do you top this?
Do you need to? Oh.
Hey. Owe me a Coke.
Oh.
But there was one year, you've seen the lobby of Corcoran Hall upstairs, and one year we had so few attendees that the entire group photo just fit on those stairs.
Too bad the group photo this year looks like it'll happen without Woz.
That's true. We can Photoshop them in.
And there were a few things that would have been nice to have had happen when Woz was still here.
So I wouldn't want the KansasFest to be just the Woz gathering.
Of course not.
There's so much that isn't
How
him.
cool would it have been for him to judge Hackfest entries?
Yeah, that I kind of wish they had done. They should have maybe even ended early or something.
We'll just call it Wozfest.
No. KansasFest is fantastic. This is my fourth one, and the first three were also fantastic, and they were Wozless. So I've had many fantastically Wozless days at KansasFest.
So who do we want as the next keynote speaker?
Me.
That's fine.
So where else could we go for Woz?
This thing is dwindling. We should put it out its misery.
That would be a good question. Well, are there any big Apple names left? Who would be the big get?
I mean, I can think, how about Chris Espinoza, Bill Fernandez, Andy Hertzfeld?
Andy Hertzfeld is the one I was just thinking. And he's never done it?
Nope.
That would be a serious grab.
He can come talk about Google Plus.
Talk about a guy who knows Apple lore, literally. Like that would be fantastic. I would get all. He's actually somebody I'd want to sign things. I'd bring a HyperCard, I think. Yes, and my chest. He would sign my chest, Ken. That is correct.
Who else would we have here? Oh, I know. How about somebody from Sierra Online? Ken or Roberta Williams?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool.
Then we take the group photo in a hot tub.
Not again. Oh my. But yeah, I mean, there's so many people from back in the day who are still around. I mean, Ken and Roberta are not the most engaging individuals in the sense that they are not very outgoing or receptive to talking about those days. They've kind of like done their thing and now they're off. I don't even know if they're going to be in that Sierra Online Kickstarter documentary.
Oh.
But, I mean, yeah, beyond them, there's still lots of people that we could get to talk. And I think it's also nice to mix it up every now and then with somebody who's still doing stuff or doing new things in the retro community. Like Jason Scott a couple of years ago. I thought that was a great keynote speech because he was able to give some context to this. Not, here's what happened 35 years ago, but here's what's happening today. Here's what you guys are doing that's important.
Actually, then I would say, like, if somebody comes up with something spectacular, they could be a good keynote speaker. I would think then in a year or two, it should be Martin. Yeah, Martin, hey up there. If they put out this amazing looking RPG, just get the three of them in and let them talk. Let's get that group because holy cow!
I'd like to see Randy Brandt come back as the keynote speaker.
Some would say he already gave his keynote speech last year.
True, yeah, but he was here and he wasn't officially the keynote speaker. So
Too bad he wasn't here when Mark Simonson was. That'd be cool.
Damn you, Randy.
Oh well.
So Kevin, have you found this a welcoming place?
Yes, absolutely. I've made a bunch of friends and a bunch more people who seem nice but whose names I don't remember yet.
Yeah, they seemed nice, but at the time,
they surprised
It's been very welcoming, and people are let me talk about my Atari projects, and
Sure.
I've learned a lot about the Apple, and yeah.
I've always promoted KansasFest as something that I think if somebody just has a love of retro tech of some sort, I think they can fit in and have a good time here. It doesn't have to be. I mean, it's very Apple-centric,
It's very
obviously,
Apple-centric.
and it should be. It's
Right.
an Apple. It's an Apple event, but I think people can have a good time if they're just lovers of retro tech, sort of in general.
No, we have one attendee, and I regret that I already forgot who I was having this conversation with, but he said that he turned on his first Apple II ever last week.
Ever?
Ever.
Wow! And then it comes to KansasFest.
Yes.
I believe that was Mike Whalen.
That sounds about right. Pretty impressive that he would want to come after,
Mhm.
you know. And we've had people come who had never used an Apple II.
Not to toot our own horns, but he came because he listens. He's a listener both to Open Apple, No Quarter, which I do with you, Carrington, and the Retro Computing Roundtable.
So that's 2 for me,
but not one.
And 2 for you,
Well, I'm here
and 1
because
for
of
Ken.
Juice GS.
Really?
That hack rag?
Yeah, you just keep talking about it, and just like, all right, this sounds fun.
It
Sure,
does make a
why
quarter
not,
of the covers.
Yeah.
We've talked him into submission.
This
Exactly.
This
It
will be
just
my
felt
first
beaten
time
into it.
This will be my first time writing about KansasFest for Juice GS in 3 years, because I used to be the marketing director for KansasFest, and I felt that prevented me from imbuing my article with my own perspective, because I wanted to maintain some sort of professional distance. And when a professional publication would never allow the marketing director of an event to cover the event. Huge conflict of interest. But now I'm not on the committee anymore, so I can do that. So I'm going to write a really scathing personal narrative of my experience this week.
Awesome.
Blistering attacks on everyone who showed up.
Awesome.
So Kevin, I'm not asking for a commitment, but for some people, KansasFest, once you come, you're hooked for life. It's an annual tradition. Other people, it's a mark it off your bucket list kind of thing.
Right.
Do you know what it's going to be for you?
I would come back.
You would?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's excellent. I'm really glad to hear that. Cool. And I think we would all come back as well.
Sure. Yeah, I came the first time because it was a bucket list thing. I had wanted to come for years, and I thought, I want to go do that. But I really didn't think I would be doing it more than once.
But you took a couple of years off immediately afterward.
Well, yeah, it was a lot to handle. But it's busy. I don't know if I can come back next year. It's hard to take the time off. I kind of wish it was...
Summers are busy and there's travel and other things.
And because the travel, for me personally, I wish it scooched forward and was in the middle of a single week. Mm-hmm. The fact that it basically ends Sunday makes it very hard to get back to Toronto for Monday morning work.
Yes.
If you're driving. So if it was something that instead of going from... it starts Tuesday, but really it's a Wednesday to late Saturday event and spills over a bit. If instead of it was a Monday to Thursday event or something, it'd be really easy to spend a weekend coming here and a weekend going home, and it would be a 1 week event. It has to become a week and a half minimum event for me to attend unless I'm flying. So it makes it harder to get here.
Especially since some people now are taking Monday off. We had quite a few people show up here the day before the early arrival day for K-Fest, and we even went out for dinner.
Yep, which is fun. But if you want to attend KenFest, which is awesome, and I'm going to be unprofessional and review it.
You'll be the marketing director.
Absolutely. Attending KansasFest is extra fun if you can bring real Apple II iron.
I've never done it.
But it's hard to do if you're flying, or if you're Ken. If you're either Ken or flying, or if you are flying Ken, it is very hard to do that.
Wait, is that an adjective or a verb?
Yeah, it's all of those things. Fly Ken. Go take a flying Ken. I think it's an insult.
I think it's time to wrap up this podcast.
But it's hard to do. But the 2 years I've come and I've driven.
Iron here. So much.
A lot of people drive.
Here.
A lot of people will also bring extra things for those who are flying. Yeah. It's an amazingly giving community that way.
I'm just anemic, I guess.
Yes, it could be. Ken's little arms can't lift it. Oh, my keyboard's
I don't have iron.
Oh, I get your jokes eventually when they're explained to me.
They're funnier that way.
So the 2 years I drove, I could bring down real Apple IIs. And the year on my scooter, I couldn't. And this year, I was lucky to bring down clothing. You guys were all lucky I brought down clothing. You're welcome. So if it was a midweek thing, I could always drive and always bring actual Apple II stuff, which would be nice. So change it, Ken.
Well, it's more important that you're here. And I can't change anything. I do not have the committee's ear. I'm not even the committee.
I've got the committee's nose. I've got the committee's eyes, you can tell.
Ken's been blacklisted from the committee.
That's right.
Oh.
No, but it's been fun. I'm not only covering this for Juice.js, but also Computer World, which I'm also no longer a part of, but now I'm a freelancer.
Ken's getting kicked out of everything.
No, they still want Apple II covered at computerworld.com.
Cool.
So it's been fun. I've been doing video profiles of individuals here. That was actually, the germ of that idea was Sheppy's, so thank you for that. Sheppy. Eric Shepard.
Germ.
You just like saying the word.
I like saying germ.
And so I've gotten to corner various individuals here throughout the week and chat with them for 2 to 3 minutes about why... the headline for the article is going to be basically, KansasFest. Who are these people? And why do they come? And,
losers.
Those...
Says the Atari guy.
Right. Yeah, the ultimate product for ComputerWorld.com is going to be like Big Bang Theory, where they're just all laughing at the geeks. So, yes. No, but it should be fun, and I've been enjoying getting to know people in that capacity, because it is a good question. I mean, people ask you, this is your idea of a good time? You go to the middle of the Midwest in the middle of the summer to talk about a 36-year-old computer, and nobody's making you?
Yep, I get that. I think everyone who comes here gets that question from everyone else in their life.
And now, hopefully, they'll be able to just point those pundits to this slideshow.
Point those pundits.
Punt the pundits.
So, other than KansasFest, what do you guys got going forward? You all going to keep podcasting? Kevin?
Well, my podcast, I've only done 2 episodes, so I hope to make it to 3.
Woohoo!
That's right. We didn't do a proper introduction, but Kevin Savitz, who has been on Open Apple before, recently premiered the Atari podcast Antic,
right,
along with 2 of your colleagues.
So, yeah, there's 3 of us doing it. It's called Antic, the Atari 8-bit podcast, and it's available at ataripodcast.com or iTunes, that sort of thing.
So technically, you've now done as many Open Apples as you've done. So really, you're an Apple podcaster as much as you're an Atari podcaster.
That's true.
Doing it wrong.
Is that the ANTIChertz, or is that something else? I saw another podcast. I thought it was another Atari podcast called the ANTIChertz, like ANTIChertz.
I don't know.
That's a podcast that discusses Kevin's podcast. It's very meta in the Atari
I've asked an awkward question.
Actually, if you play both podcasts at the same time, they cancel each other out.
Nice. Right. Just you go in the middle and just silence.
Right.
Moses' sound canceling headphones are just
right.
Just plays both the podcasts at you.
Kind of like when Carrington was interviewed by Evil Carrington for TCS.
Exactly.
Man, I wanted to kill that guy.
They can never occupy space at the same time.
No, but we occupy space. I've occupied that space.
You just love to fill up the room.
I do. I'm filling it now.
Anyway. Cool. So yeah, we are going to keep podcasting, right, Mike?
We'll see how it goes. Dun, dun, dun.
Are we going to keep podcasting, Mike?
Depends. If you take that picture down.
Nope. Picture's going up.
Show's over.
Picture up.
That photo. Do I want to see this photo?
It's just a score that he made up of him supposedly beating me at Galaga.
Mike and I are playing Galaga this week. We are doing Apple stuff, and we are also doing retro classic arcade things for our No Quarter podcast. And this week is one of Mike's favoritist games, and it looks like I might actually beat him.
No.
But this
KansasFest ever.
But this week it's more important that you do well at Structress.
Yes, there's a Structress tournament, and I have entered, and so far in the seed scores, I'm number 1 by long measure. Including I've beat. I guess what was your score?
I'm number 2.
And so we've both actually beaten the creator of Structress.
Yes.
I'm sorry. What is Structress?
It is Martin Hayes' game that he released at last year's KansasFest. It is an action-oriented Tetris-based game on the Apple II, and it's fantastically
It's an
fun.
interesting game. It's like someone else is playing Tetris, and you are in the Tetris board. You're like a little dot, and you have to not get squished by the falling tiles.
It's incredibly well implemented.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
I had never heard of the game before today, and someone was just like, "You should be in the Structress tournament." Structress. And I was just like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And he's just like, "You need to install Structress." I'm like, "I don't have an Apple II emulator on my computer." He's like, "You need to do that too." So I installed Sweet 16. I installed Structress. It was really helpful that the guy who programmed Sweet 16 was sitting right next to me on the couch to help me with that. I played Structress. I'm like, okay, this is fun. Sure, I'll enter the tournament. So I haven't actually done my seed round yet, but I will. So I played Structress for maybe 20 minutes, and then I was just like, I wonder if I can write a program to play this game better than I could. So now I'm spending all my time now writing a program to play Structress for me.
Because
and I hope
Kevin
to
wants
enter
to
that program into the tournament as well.
Yeah, so Kevin will enter Kevin's program. If Kevin's program wins, I will be very disappointed.
Well,
But also impressed. I'll be very impressed.
very surprised. But it finished level 1 earlier, so it's actually, it has a chance at not sucking.
And you and I played another game last night, Cards Against Humanity.
Yes, we did.
That might not be appropriate.
Love that.
It is a game-playing event. And tomorrow night, we will be playing round 2 of Star Saga 1, which is a game that we began at last year's KansasFest and has so much reading and so much setup time. All we got done was the initial first round, and that's it. And we took a year's break, and now we're gathering again to commence the game, and hopefully we will get another 1 or 2 rounds in. It's a game that may take us a decade to finish.
By the 50th KansasFest, we'll find out who the winner is.
Yeah. So I'm really looking. I've been wanting to play that game for years, so I was very excited. Andy Malloy brought his copy, and so we played last year.
He brought part of his copy. He was The box is 7 or 8 pounds because of all the books. It's a book where you just sit around and read from it. It really is. You make your move on the Apple II, and it says, read this paragraph in this book. And
it won't say just read this paragraph. It'll say, read paragraph 143 in book J.
Yeah, there are multiple books, and the box weighs 7 or 8 pounds because of this, and it put Andy over his weight limit on the airline. And so we got this panicked email from him. What do I do? What do I do? So he left all of the books at home this time, and we just downloaded the PDFs.
And somebody actually quickly set up a wiki that have all the things, so you can now just type in the book and the paragraph number, and it brings up. So we have a whole online version.
So we're emulating part of Star Saga 1.
I don't care. I'm really looking forward to. I don't remember the character, but he's the ousted, disgraced son of a pirate.
I thought you played the useless chick.
No, I'm the useful chick. No, it's a guy.
It's a 5-man band.
I'm the singer playing bass. No, I play some sort of smuggler. I'm really looking forward to smuggling again.
Should you like Han Solo?
I am. Exactly. Look at me. Of course I am. Chewie.
I'm looking forward to getting past the demo round that the game sets up for us. That's all that was. Getting past that's what it was.
So that's KansasFest. It's amazing. I'm having such a good time.
We got 2 more days. We got the vendor fair. I got some Juice.js announcements.
Oh, excited. I need to resubscribe to Juice.js unless the announcement is there's no reason to. But provided that's not the announcement, I intend to resubscribe.
That announcement will come someday.
Yes.
Has Juice.js peaked, and now it's time to just end it?
It's peaking every year.
We're going out on top.
Nice.
No, our subscriber base has been growing consistently for about the last 6 or 7 years.
That's amazing.
Wow.
We have more people every year than we did the last year.
And is it growing internationally or just in the U.S.?
You know, I meant to pull together those stats for this weekend's announcement, and I will get back to you on that.
Your extensive demographic report.
I know my subscribers' addresses. I know where they live.
He said threateningly.
I should include that with a note.
I know where you live.
They open up the envelope, they pull out the issue, there's a sticky note. I know where you live.
Nice.
Like, well, duh.
That's awesome. Well, I look forward to the announcements. But are we not having a banquet this year? Is there no tie contest?
My understanding is that the Juice.js pizza party, which was moved from Wednesday night to Friday night, is the banquet.
Okay. Will it happen just in the lounge?
I am told it will happen in the presentation hall.
Oh. That's a little disappointing to me.
Typically, it took place over in Massman Hall, which is a few hundred yards away from the building that we're in right now.
Who wants to schlep all the way over there?
Well, and I think that's exactly what it was. They were moving multimedia equipment from here over to there to give the presentations that we do every year, wonderful presentations, and then bringing them back 2 hours later. And maybe they're old and just got tired of it. I don't know.
Maybe they don't know how to ask for help. Yeah.
That actually does make sense now that you put it that way.
No, it doesn't.
No, it's not.
No, it doesn't, and I'm angered. That's what I mean.
And strike
I just didn't realize how angry I was.
But speaking of hauling butt over to Massman and speaking of Juice.js, we have a Juice.js staff photo coming up in about 10 minutes. And we need to get over there.
Which means we got to wrap up this podcast.
We do.
Well, it was very fun talking to you guys.
Yeah, it was fun talking with you as well.
I was talking at you guys. Very fun talking at Kevin.
There are people here who do that.
Yes.
I don't think we are them. We talk at our listeners.
Yes.
We don't talk with them.
Well, our listeners can listen to us on our various podcasts going forward. And I look forward to 2 more days of KansasFest.
As do I. And I look forward to coming back to KansasFest 2014. Apple II forever.
Apple II forever.
Sorry, wrong podcast.
Atari forever.
No!
Kevin ruins everything.
All right. Thanks all for listening. Hope to see you at KansasFest.
This has been the Open Apple Podcast. Find more episodes, read our blog, or send feedback by visiting us on the web at www.open-apple.net.